government announces relaxation on lockdown in green zones from April 24th. Private building construction activities to resume. Non-banking finance companies to begin functioning. Stationery shops, electrical shops given a green signal. Bamboo, betel-nut, coconut, dry fruits can now be sold. Ice cream and juice shops to begin operations. Milk processing units to begin operations from tomorrow. Flour mills also given a green signal. Mobile recharge shops to open shutters. This is the big news that we are currently tracking at this point of time. The government has eased relaxation in the green zones, and starting tomorrow, many sectors have been asked to resume their operations, and one of them is the construction activities of private buildings. They have been given a green signal. For more details on this, I'm being joined in by my colleague Pratibha from the newsroom. So Pratibha, now the government has announced relaxation on several activities starting tomorrow. Do you think that the traffic jams in the city could increase, also the number of cases increase?
Well, that's a big risk that the state government has taken currently. But of course, the economic activity also has to be back in Karnataka. We've already seen concerns from different sections of society, from several people of, losing out on their livelihoods, which is why this decision has been taken, because more or less the situation is in control in Karnataka. So let's also tell our viewers that these relaxations that we're talking about, this graded relaxation is only for the green zones in Karnataka. It does not apply to the other areas. Only in the areas where no cases have been reported in the last 28 days will these graded relaxations be applied. So, life is going to limp back to normalcy. Of course, things are not going to be absolutely same as it was in the pre-COVID-19 era. There are going to be several differences, but this comes as a huge relief that for several people now, they can go back to work. To begin with, private building construction activities will resume. So this is going to come as a huge relief for the migrants in Karnataka. The migrants have been suffering across the country, and that is because of a loss of job. They did not have a home, they did not have a shelter, they did not have food. Finally, help arrived, but the bigger crisis that they were facing is a loss of livelihood, a loss of jobs. So that will be addressed because of this, because now the private building construction activities will begin in the green zones. So apart from that, we also have several other shops that will be open. So until now, we had only the medical shops, essential services that were open, but now stationery shops will also be open. Apart from that, electric shops, those who are self-employed, all of those people can also now open their shops, which means because of the losses that they might have suffered, this is going to come as a big relief to them as well. And the milk processing units will be open, and in some relief, the ice cream shops as well as the juice shops will also remain open. So this is going to come as a big relief for the people. But of course, these shops and establishments will still have to maintain social distancing. These norms will still have to be followed. And this applies only to the green zones, which means in the red and the orange zones, nothing really changes. Life will continue to be the same, and it will continue to be in lockdown. And while talking about, what are the things that will be open, let's also take a look at what will not be available even in the green zones. So transport of any kind will still be suspended, and even if you're traveling from one green zone to the other, inter-district travel will not be allowed, even if it is with your own vehicle. So if you're traveling from one district that is in the green zone to another, that is still not allowed. Even now, that comes as quite a big risk. So for anyone planning to travel inter-district, that's not going to be allowed. And any kind of transport, public transport, is still going to be suspended, which means that KSRTC, BMTC will remain suspended. People cannot take any kind of public transport, including the train services as well, will not be available even in these green zones. Now, apart from that, there are a few other things that will remain closed as well. In these green zones as well, even now, any malls or theaters will continue to remain shut. And while, the sale of all of these items is being allowed, liquor and cigarettes, something that several people have been asking about as well, this will still not be permitted. So liquor and cigarette will still not be available even in the green zones. Goes without saying that in the red and orange zones as well, it's not going to be available. So these are some of the services that will not be available. Apart from that, in these green zones as well, even though there is relaxation, any kind of a social gathering is not going to be allowed. Religious gathering or any other social gathering is not going to be allowed. Only for funerals, a special permission will be required in there as well. not more than 20 people will be allowed. So like we said, there will still be that difference between the pre-COVID-19 era and after that. Even if there is a relaxation, it clearly does not mean that people can step out and life can go back to as it was before. This is a graded relaxation, which means some parts of life will now return to normalcy very slowly, but this is because it was hitting the livelihood of people. So that way things will go back to normalcy, but otherwise these establishments will still have to follow the norms that have been put in place. And there can be a change anytime. Even one positive case is reported from the district or any of these green zones, it will immediately slip down to the orange zone, which means these restrictions could also be stopped completely, Deepak.